to take time during my sermon to share this, I want to share something with you. Many of you know that in our homeless ministry, we started working last year. I believe it was in October when we started. I can't remember what month, but it was in October. One of the first people we met was we'll call him a young man since he's younger than me. It was a young man named Richard Blankenship. And he was under one of the bridges downtown. And one night, we'd been passing out blankets and stuff. And he called and left a message on the church answering machine. And said, "Pastor, this is Richard Blankenship, and it's getting awfully cold out here, and if y'all could get some blankets, we would sure appreciate it." Well, by the time we had got the blankets down, many of the people had disappeared. It turned out within 2 days, Richard was in the ICU at St. Francis with pneumonia and hypothermia on a respirator, not expected to live. But our church people, we took turns going to the hospital every day, even though we didn't really know him, but we knew he didn't have any family, so we took turns in going up and praying with him and sitting with him and praying over him and speaking God's word over him. And little by little, he began to get better, and then as he began to get better, one day we went up and he was gone, and they said they moved him to a nursing home, but because of HIPAA regulations, they couldn't tell us where he was at. But we were determined that we were going to find his family no matter what we had to do, and so all of us Facebook people, we went crazy. We put his picture out there every day, asking all of our friends all over the world to put it out. And last week, I got a phone call. It said, "Pastor Chuck, my name is Troy Gibson, and I live in Texas, and my cousins live in Alabama, and we are the cousins of Richard Blankenship. And we're trying to find him." Well, they wouldn't let us know, but she was able to find out, and then this week I've had 2 calls from Richard himself. Thanking us for what we've done. So I thought, since you were such a part of this, if I could read this letter, I would read this to you. Dear Pastor Chuck, after a great deal of searching today, we were able to find Richard at Wellington Hills in Eufaula, Oklahoma. Due to his injury, he had forgotten your name and us. He's on a vent still, but they're working to teach him to walk. And he's looking forward to talking to you soon. I can't thank you enough for posting the photo and looking for his family. He struggled with substance abuse for years. And sadly, living with family became too risky for everyone. He seems to be in a far better place than we've ever seen him, which I feel certain was due to your influence. Regardless of circumstance, he is warm and fed, and he is not homeless. I think God is always there when people hit rock bottom. I feel certain he had a purpose, which he can hopefully find a bit easier since he is surrounded by more stable people and now as family support. Your church is the perfect example of how working hard with the homeless seems to be thankless at times, but being there is a constant guiding light that you gave, a constant guiding light that gives them a boost in faith, and they need to remember that life can be good again. The sad part is that Richard was a great kid whose dad introduced him to drugs at an early age. He had been beaten on the weekend. His mom was at our grandma's funeral and lost my aunt's entire Social Security check due to some drug-related offense. His mom died a few months later, and on Thanksgiving Day, just as both were turning their life around, I know that the guilt made him find hard to find true happiness. I feel so guilty because I lived with my high school English teacher and had tons of encouragement, whereas he was as a teenager, just watching his dad die slowly from failure acquired from drug use. My mom and aunt are so thrilled that he is getting a second chance of happiness. And I'm glad to know that due to your church's diligence, he now gets to see forgiveness and unconditional love. Your church must be a wonderful benefit to the community. The world needs more true acceptance. The Bible says, "Be not weary in well-doing. For in the right season, if you faint not, you'll reap a harvest." Aren't you glad for God's grace that reaches further than what you can reach?